This is Columbus, Ohio. This is the state capital. It's also a thriving Midwestern business community. And it's also a major stop on the IMSA GT circuit. Hi, I'm Dave Bowman, and I'm standing on a bridge that generally has traffic running about 35 miles an hour. But in a little while, the fastest GTU cars in the country are going to make it their playground. Today, we're going to take you with the crew of the famous '99 Toyota Celica, the hidden heroes behind the Gurney Curb, all-American racers. The scrappy little GTU cars are powered by engines under 3 liters and share the track with the big-bore GTO class, making for some interesting racing. The extra challenge today comes from the untested first-time racetrack created from the streets of Columbus. Our story begins 2 weeks ago at the Gurney Curb All-American Race Shops in California, where the GTO team of Car 98 has been assigned to work with the number 99 GTU team. The strategy behind combining the teams is to make an extra effort to win the GTU championship, since the GTU team is second in the points race. Crew Chief Sean Smith and mechanic Ron Perry share the duties on the GTU team.
Well, we all do have specific jobs. Like Sean is the crew chief on this car, and I'm second mechanic. And then Gary is the crew chief on 98. And Howard Moniz, he's not here. He is the second mechanic on 98. And then Danny, he does the body work, and he's responsible for the tires at the race, getting all the tires ready. But actually, what it comes down to is we don't have a specific job. You know, when it comes to whatever needs to be done, if somebody's available, you know, that's who does it. I wouldn't trade any of them for anything. You know, after we get off the track, it's not like, well, good, I don't have to see them till tomorrow. It's, you know, as a unit, we all go out and we'll go to dinner, or we'll go out and go to the movies or whatever, but it's usually as a whole that we do it. It makes it a lot nicer that way. You know, I'm the only married man on the team, and you know, I don't get left out.
The legendary Dan Gurney sets the tone for the team, and team manager Rick Murray supervises both the GTU and GTO effort in the same quiet, professional manner that Gurney's made his trademark. All-American Racers is one of the most complete race shops in the world. Actually, it's more than a shop, it's a race car factory. With this kind of support, the GTU team was well prepared when they went on the road to race on 2 consecutive weekends over 2,000 miles from home. Last week at Watkins Glen, they broke a left front hub going into the last turn and crashed into the retaining wall. Serious damage was done to the left front corner of the car, extending into the chassis. The multi-million-dollar race shop in California was of no value to them at that point. They had to rely on their own skills and resourcefulness to rebuild the car in the garage at the Glen. By the time they rolled the car into the basement of the auditorium that would serve as their race garage in Columbus, Ohio this week, the car was ready to run, and all that remained was to set the chassis for the new course.
Back at the shop, we've got thousands and thousands of dollars worth of heavy equipment to bend things and to shear things and to cut them. And when you're on the road, you're kind of set with blocks of wood and hammers and bending it over benches and things like that. So you just kind of got to make do. This has added a new piece here, and this strut here. This material here we've actually cut away for the time being. It used to be covered up here. This is a brand new frame rail here from here forward. New steering mount. Things aren't quite as deluxe as they used to be. Sometimes when you're out in the field and you can't take the time to make it fit just right, we have to just kind of make do. So that's going to be our setup for this weekend.
You would think that this adversity would upset the game plan for Columbus, but it hasn't.
Well, actually, we've been quite fortunate. We came off of an accident at Watkins Glen. which brought us in here a couple days later than what we wanted. But the cars worked basically quite well right from the start. We haven't had to do any gear changes. We were, again, very lucky that we were able to hit it on the button. And we've been able to just fine-tune the car and generally keep the crew well rested and just, doing a pretty good job with that.
As the cars take the green flag for the start of the GTO-GTU race, the men in the Toyota pit stand relaxed, thanks to a lot of hard work done long before they ever reached Columbus.
Hidden Heroes, brought to you by Fram, the makers of Autolite spark plugs. If Autolite's on it, there's copper.
The crew had the car up on the jack stands only minutes after they had arrived. They wasted little time in starting the preparation of the car because they didn't know how the car would perform after the bad crash and the repairs made at Watkins Glen. And they couldn't afford to waste their only practice. Ron Perry detailed the drivetrain, and Howard Moniz changed the springs.
I worked for many years as a streetcar mechanic, and I've been involved with racing my whole life through my family. And I just got this offer to take this, letting them know that I'm basically a streetcar mechanic with some racing background, and that's the kind of things I do, mechanical stuff. I mean, there's so many little parts of the car, you just keep going over everything in your mind, trying not to miss anything, because that's part of my job is to, maintenance, make sure, the car's got to finish the race. That's why we're here.
Rick and Danny Gurney, the boss's son, fabricated a new spoiler. Gary checked the hub assembly, which was a special concern because of the failure at Watkins Glen. They applied heat-sensitive paint to critical areas on the hub, rotor, and brake caliper. Color changes in this paint will indicate areas of possible failure. Not to be outdone by such sophisticated technology, Ron has some high-tech terminology for the job he does.
Well, he's our man that goes down underneath the car, and he performs what we call N&B, which is a nut and bolt check. And when he finishes the N&B, he does a D&C, which that's the dust and clean. And then the last thing that he does before the car is ready is the BTWOC, which is bang the wheels on the car. And we're ready to go.
Because the garage is a public auditorium, they had to take the car outside to warm it up for the first time since the Glen. Supervising is Lion Kaplansky from the engine department at Gurney Curb All-American Racers, who specializes in Toyota power plants.
Every time I start the car for the first time in a weekend, I go through a little procedure, preheat the oil, check all my fluids, start it, get some water temp, check the timing, just to make sure nothing has gone amiss or changed.
He checks over every little thing. This motor, he knows every nut and bolt on that motor, and he treats it like a mother does his newborn child. There's nothing that happens on that motor that he doesn't know about.
It's special. It's a 4-valve cylinder head. A lot of horsepower is gained from there. Tuning the fuel injection to the particular application. Double overhead camshafts, maximum fuel efficiency and RPM. And when I go through one of these engines, I essentially try and make it as perfect as I can. Literally little or no compromises. And after about every 700-800 miles, they come out of the car. We go through them. And we know what the strong points are and the weak points, and we just stay on top of it. And try and build the best piece we can every time.
Back in the garage, they put the car on the scales to weigh it. How much weight rests on each wheel can determine how the car will handle on the racetrack.
We know what our weights are. We're used to what we get with certain weights, and we just trim them in based on what we experience on the track. We've got a little more weight on the left rear than we want. We can't get it perfect just because the car's not symmetrical, but we can get it pretty close. And if we had too much weight on the left rear, it's going to oversteer all over the place in the right-hand turn.
Finally, at 3:30 in the afternoon, the track was ready, and driver Chris Cord could take the car out for practice. Since no one had ever driven this course before, they had to make the best guess on the chassis setup. Because of similarities to the Miami race, they used the same basic setup, and it worked. For all the mechanical knowledge these men must possess to maintain and race these high-performance machines, no less important is their ability to communicate with each other, to explain problems, share ideas, and find solutions.
The gearing, it's sort of in between first and second, on this turn that you see, that left-hander right in front of the pits. It's a little bit, second's a little too high and first might be a little bit too low, but it's no problem to, you're in the corner for such a short period of time, it's no problem just to shift right in the middle of the turn.
Do you use first anywhere else on the track?
Oh, a lot. Use first. Well, I use it around the the pit turn there.
So we'd be compromising if we played
yes,
those two.
I think so. Use first in about 4 turns.
You get it into top down the long straight?
Oh, yeah.
And what's it pulling top?
Both times. It's about 92 or 3 coming back this way, and it's not. You just get into the 5th for a second, where just after the chicane. Go through the chicane in 4th at just about 9,000.
Before they put the car away for the night, one of the last things Gary did was check the heat-sensitive paint for warnings of possible failure. None were found. What they learned yesterday is part of the reason Chris is now able to run so quickly without abusing the equipment. While in the pit, the team can only run the race in their mind. Saturday morning and race day comes early. It's going to be a busy day. The qualifying sessions at 8:30 and 11:30 this morning will be the only practice that Chris will get before the GTO-GTU race at 4:30 this afternoon. The crowds are nowhere to be seen when the team goes out to set up the pit. Even though today's race is a 1-hour sprint race and there should be no pit stops, the crew will set up a full pit to cover any contingency, as well as to service the qualifying sessions. At 8:30, while most people are home having breakfast, Chris Cord is driving the wrong way on one-way streets at over 90 miles an hour in downtown Columbus. Besides qualifying, he'll use this session to become familiar with the course, and the crew will use the information they get from the run to fine-tune the car for the race.
John, there's a really tough bump left-hander over a manhole cover across the bridge going that way. And it's really hammering it on the right front. You want to,
Take a look at it.
Be concerned if you might check it just to see if there's, if it's creating any problems down there.
At 11:30 a.m., the remaining qualifying session provides their last opportunity for track experience. Rick studies the car's handling, and as Chris gets more comfortable, his lap time drops to 1 minute 48.3 seconds, qualifying car number 99 second in GTU. With only 4 hours before the race, everyone's at work. Danny's fabricating a spoiler.
We all call him Gumby around the shop. He's a lot of fun.
You have no respect at all for the boss's son.
None whatsoever. None at all. No, we all have fun, and Danny, he takes care of all the body work and does a lot of the running around getting tires and things like that. He's an important member of our team.
Good-natured Danny knows he's paying his dues, but he's building up experience for the day he can become a full-time driver, following in his father's footsteps.
It's been really tough for me. I've been working on a deal for the past 2 years, and finally it's starting to come through. And it's really tough.
He's not pulling any strings to...
No, Dad said the only way you're gonna go do it is go out and do it yourself and prove to me that you can go do it. So I have.
Team manager Rick Murray oversees the final details prior to the race.
Pretty unique. I mean, he doesn't seem to miss a thing. He's always looking around at things, just seeing what can be done, making sure everything is in its place. And you can ask him any question, and he'll have the answer for it.
He's an ultimate competitor. He is not satisfied with anything except winning. which pretty much describes all of us.
I play more of a supporting role. I try to have things so that the members that we do have can do their jobs right. The fact that they have the right tools, they're set up in the right position, they're capable of doing their job to the best of their ability.
The car is ready in plenty of time, but the crew continues to fuss over it, perhaps more than they have to. But that's just the way they are. They also take pride in being the first team packed and ready to leave right after the race. Driver Chris Cord has his own way of preparing for the race.
Getting into that car, it just is so intense, and it's so not physically demanding, but psychologically and mentally demanding, that if I find I can relax my entire physical being and mental being before I get into the car, I come up pressure.
Though it's considered a short race, the pressure is constant. And pressure is what Chris is putting on Terry Visker, who has slipped in front, pushing Chris back to third. The pressure only has to get to you for a moment. And when Terry hits the wall, Chris just drives around him, retaking second place. Everything's going well, and now it's a matter of cranking out the laps to the end of the race when they will make a run for the lead.
When Warren Johnson is tearing down the track, he's under a lot of pressure. And so is Kurt, his son and chief mechanic. That's why he chooses a spark plug he can count on, Autolite. You see, the pressure in a high-powered engine like this is enough to melt down the tips of ordinary plugs, but Autolites are tough enough to take the heat of Warren's engine. Are they special racing plugs? No, they're the same kind you use in your car. But don't take it from Warren Johnson. Take it from Kurt, his mechanic, Autolite.
Even though we could put him back on the track, hopes of a good finishing position would be gone. It almost makes you a little bit more removed from what is really going on, because you basically can only see about 50 feet of the track, and you just have even less feel for what's really happening out there.
In a sprint race, your strategy is just to go out and run as hard as you can. Of course, stay out of trouble, but you just go out there and try to win. It's going to be tough here because it's not a distance race, it's only an hour. So we'll just have to let it fly and see what happens. Well, I just hope nothing goes wrong. I just running through different bits and pieces of the car through my mind, and a little mental checklist, make sure that there isn't something that we have forgotten. You try to wish the thing through. The anxious level is high. Always worried about it. You can't be blasé about this at all. You can't be too comfortable. You do, you're asking for it.
Terry Visker's teammate, Bob Earl, continues his comfortable lead as they begin the last few laps. Jack Baldwin in the 76 car has passed Chris Cord and is in firm second place. Meanwhile, Chris has no GTU competitors for third place, but is being passed by the faster GTO cars. At the checkered flag, Chris finishes third in GTU and 10th overall, beating most of the big-engine GTO entries. Even before Chris returns to the pit, the crew is packing up their equipment. The activity stops only when Car 99 returns, and they gather to share the joy of a job well done. For the hidden heroes of Team Toyota, I'm Dave Bowman.